think sometimes they talk about the Iranian Revolution as a stolen revolution.
Revolution.
Yeah, that they part of they didn't realize that an Islamist regime was going to be coming in. That they thought that after getting rid of the Shah, that a more sort of open and democratic government was coming in.
Yeah, they used the Marxists and everything.
Didn't
and
work
then
out.
Killed them.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that at least I hope that democratic principles win out, because frankly, I just think it is a better system for surfacing the best ideas and then building your country based upon those ideas. But when you have a information space that is being slowly poisoned by external actors, it becomes incredibly difficult to agree on a similar set of facts. This is called in the Rand Corporation came out with a great report on. I'm a full disclosure. I'm a student at the Rand School of Public Policy and National Security.
Not suspicious at all.
Not at all. Yeah. Just filling up my deep state dance card.
That's right. He wants to start a country. We'll talk about.
We'll talk about that in a little bit. So they did a great report on what's called truth decay. And truth decay is...
That sounds like the biggest fucking big government term ever. That feels like Ministry of Truth shit right there.
Well, so this is
decay.
exactly why it's so difficult to have a conversation about the information space. Because specifically Americans, and it's in my DNA too, as soon as you say something about like, oh, you're going to tell me what to do. Right. Yeah, exactly. We're just like digging up the corpse of George Orwell constantly and making him dance for us. But like we have to maintain freedom of speech because it is a superpower for us.
That's right. Freedom of speech can be painful, but the other side of it is way worse. It's proven over and over. That's why I will die on that hill forever. And a lot of people listening who are from America, especially, like, we get that.
Well, there were two organizations that were recently stood up and then immediately stood down to try and deal with information space attacks, and it was the Global Engagement Center was one of them. I think it lasted for like 8 months.
Who runs these things?
I don't know.
Like Klaus Schwab?
No. This was a U.S. This is a Biden era initiative.
Well, that's not reassuring,
right? So there was the Global Engagement Center, and then there was another organization, I can't remember what it was, that was stood up basically to do some type of information space defense, but they were shot down specifically for the exact reason that you mentioned, which is like this feels like a Ministry of Truth,
because it probably there's an element of it that either already is and even worse will completely become that.
Sure, yeah, and I think that everybody is right to be super wary of any government structure that is put in place that makes the information space curated on their benefit.
That's right.
Here's a policy that I'm at least writing about in my paper that I think maybe we could agree on is a good one, right?
Okay.
So there are one dominant attack that is fairly common, especially in electoral cycles.
DDOS?
No, but cognitive DDoS attacks are really interesting. Okay. I'll tell you about that in a second. But
God,
no,
I thought you were going there.
Yeah,
I was really excited.
Cognitive DDoS attack is where you it's Steve Bannon, flood the zone with shit. Basically, if you have some message that you want to get out there, and then somebody else is able to co-opt that message by just like slamming it with like a bunch of nonsense, then the signal will get lost in the noise. That's a cognitive DDoS attack.
Steve Bannon is very, if you've read him in the past and what he says, he was a big fan of Rachel Maddow, for example, because what you're describing is the same thing that like she'll do. And you'll see this from the hard ends of the spectrum. They just flood shit with shit. And it starts as one place. Oh, they said it, therefore we have a source on it. That's like that means that there's something there. And then a bunch of other people say it, and pretty soon it's like, oh, that's just the truth.
Do you know about the nationalist school that he was trying to start? He was trying to start a hyper-nationalist European university in a monastery outside of Rome.
Come on.
Yeah. Look it up.
Steve Bannon's.
He's got some ideas.
Yeah.
I can't remember what I was on before.
You were talking about the paper you're writing. About the type of
hack and leaks. Okay, so
hack and links.
Hack and leak. So
Hack and leak.
here's a policy. Tell me if this is to Ministry of Truth or not.
Okay.
Right.
This is your idea, right?
Yeah. So this is one policy idea that I think doesn't touch freedom of speech.
Comment section at the ready.
Go for it. Also, I should state, I don't think this is possible. I don't think this would actually happen.
So why are you writing about it then?
Because it's a good idea. All right, here's my idea. Essentially a hack and leak operation is some antagonistic force comes into like the Democratic National Convention servers and they leak a bunch of emails and then they shovel pass it to the Republicans and they say, hey, we got all this dirt on your opponent. Don't you want to use it and, run on what we hacked and leaked to you? My policy idea is that there should be a mutually agreed poison well clause where if it is proven that information was hacked and leaked, neither party can use that information against the other party.
It's a beautiful idea. You're right. It probably will never work.
The reason it won't work is because it is too valuable in the short term. Mm-hmm. It's too valuable in the short term to have some really juicy information about, your competitor
Hunter
and
Biden's laptop.
Right. Yeah.
Like they can just say,
that was a
that's
self-hack. That wasn't even a hack and leak.
And they're they can just say that's Russian disinformation,
Sure.
have a bunch of people sign it. Oh, that's what it is.
But
crazy.
The system falls apart when you're transparent about the wrong things and when you're obfuscating the wrong things. When you have people who are saying, oh, Russian disinformation, then it turns out to be true. Like, there needs to be a certain standard of transparency which actually increases trust in the American government and increases trust between individuals. So that's one policy which I don't think messes with freedom of speech. Another one that I think is important, which my buddy calls the Bob Dylan strategy.
The Bob Dylan strategy.
The Bob Dylan strategy.
They just filmed that whole movie right here, by the way.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh.
The Timothy Chalamet one.
He was just walking around
all around Hoboken. I walked onto the set by accident.
Did you?
Yeah.
Are you in the movie?
No, I got physically removed. They're like, sir. I'm like, what? I was like on the phone. Yeah.
I mean, you're a lot bigger guy now, so you might have scared Timothy Chalamet.
No, I don't think he noticed. It was the security guys.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was locked in, bro.
Good.
He's that motherfucker's on it.
Seems like it.
Like
Shout
he's in
out.
a different world.
Would you have him on the show?
I would love to.
That'd be really cool.
I love me some Chalamet. Pause. But yeah.
So yeah, like the Bob Dylan strategy. This is more of like I don't want to call it an offensive operation, but it is an offensive operation. Is the fact that like we need to use the benefits of the open American information space and American culture to ship that externally. The best ambassadors that we've ever had are our rock stars and our sitcoms. I was in in North Macedonia in Lake Ohrid, and I saw a Lenny Kravitz concert, and I was like, why the fuck is Lenny Kravitz in North Macedonia? As it turns out, after the fall of Yugoslavia, he was the first rock star who wanted to come in and play a concert. And people love him there.
That's great marketing.
Right? I can't remember who it was, or I think it was after the Velvet Revolution when Czechoslovakia fell apart. But the first band to come was Metallica, right? I think the best ambassador that I've ever met, or the best ambassador I've ever had an interaction with in Eastern Europe is fucking Chandler Bing. Every single Albanian
Friends?
I know knows every single episode of Friends. Like, not technically. I think it might be an American. It was Titanic, an American movie. Cameron's from Canada.
It's an
American movie,
take
right?
That
Okay,
from us, Eric.
Good. Just making sure. All
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah. Thank you.
Titanic. It's our boat that sank.
You're right. So Titanic, amazing example. My first month in Albania, I was at my host family's house, and I was
By host family, is that your handler?
This is the Curcini family of
Right. So they're on the payroll of CIA or
Peace Corps.
NSA?
Peace Corps.
Well, that is CIA. So, all right, CSA.
I wish I was doing something so cool. I was just getting yelled at by Albanian teenagers for
I'm sure
2
you were,
years.
yeah, and you ended up in a bunch of countries that don't exist and became ambassador somewhere. But that's
Yes, I did.
There.
Go read the book to find out more. But anyway,
Shameless
so
plug.
we're there, or I'm there, and I've got my 2 host brothers, and the family is like going out for the night, and I was like, oh, I can cook dinner, and they're like, oh, cool. So I was like cooking dinner, and then my host brother was like, oh man, like we need to like make this a really cool night, and I'm like, cool, what are we gonna do? And then he just put on the Titanic soundtrack, and I was like, just like listening to My Heart Will Go On from these Albanian.
Was he at least playing like an NBA highlight where they dribble and like it as the song drops, like the ball drops?
Would have been really cool, but no, we just like sat there and listened to My Heart Will Go On over and over again, and like
that's like a little gay.
He was, yeah.
Oh, well.
It was, yeah. Just listening to My Heart Will Go On with my 2 new host brothers. And they're like, have you seen Titanic? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, beautiful movie. I was talking with an Albanian friend at one point, and she's like, I made a reference to Demolition Man, and she's like, oh, I know every line from Demolition Man. And I'm like, how? And she's like, well, it was one of the first movies to come through after the fall of communism. And I'm like, yeah, do more of that.
That's a great marketing strategy. Like, people should be lined up, like, looking for the next country to fall. Like, if I'm a musician or artist or something, have my demo ready to drop.
Dude, whoever snatches up the North Korean hearts and minds by playing a sick rock show there.
It's going to be the new K-pop, but North Korean style.
Who do you think it's going to be? Like, if you had to choose right now, who would be the American artist that you would be like?
Little Uzi Vertical could really pull it off.
Oh.
He could pull it off.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was not who I thought.
He's out there.
That wasn't who I thought you were going to go with.
They would just be so fascinated by them. Because my friend Wally Green went to North Korea to do ping pong diplomacy.
I know.
And he's so black. Cool. So they're like, what is this? You
know,
they're all North Korean there.
Yeah.
And so they were just, and then, he won over the crowd too. It was actually like an amazing story. Because he was doing a ping pong match with like this nasty North Korean. Like, he was really good.
Yeah.
In front of this whole stadium, and every time like he would do something, like Wally would do something, they would go boo. Every time the other guy would do something, he'd be like, yeah, like perfect clapping. And then he started to like kind of work with the crowd and show them like, oh, I come in peace. And they were like almost confused, but they're like, okay, like I guess we can clap a little bit. And then at the end, the other guy came over to like, I don't even know, there's a video of it. I don't even remember if he like shook his hand. This was all in episode 147 with Wally back in 2023. But like, he like went to either whatever the custom was, bow or like shake his hand. And Wally pulled his hand and pulled him in and gave him a big hug. And the guy was like shocked. But then he like started to smile like, oh, this is kind of cool. And people were clapping. But what I'm saying is like, it was so outside, like someone who literally just looked like Wally before he even did all that stuff was so outside their purview that they started against it, but then got curious about it, and then they realized it was okay. They weren't going to get shot for being curious about it, and then they're like, oh, this is cool. So I'm saying, like, you could take an extreme example, meaning something that's totally different than what they know, which Little Uzi Vertical would, obviously I'm advocating right here, but he would be that. It's a funny example, but in all seriousness, it's like it could work.
That's what we're good at, right? That is the thing that ingratiate, like that American culture shipped through our media ingratiates us more to the rest of the world than our military does, certainly.
Right. Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.